Hey everyone, welcome back to LowKickMMA. I'm Alex Lerman, and today I am joined on the show by Damon Wilson. Damon, how are you today, brother?
Doing wonderful. It's fight week. Couldn't feel any better.
Great to hear. Well, yeah, Cage Warriors 149 coming up on Saturday, facing off against Motaz Askar. Great fight. Can't wait for that one. So, before we get to that, I wanted to ask, how is this training camp going, and how do you feel leading up to the fight in a week?
Yeah, man. I'm gonna have to correct you right off the bat. Askar fell out a couple weeks ago. I got a
Did he?
replacement opponent. Yeah. So yeah, he got hurt. They were having trouble finding an opponent. I actually just got an opponent this past Thursday.
Oh,
So
okay.
they signed Shawn Johnson from Indiana. So new opponent and same mentality. I'm excited that they got somebody. I was a little fearful. I had a lot of people, a lot of fans buying tickets, a lot of people making the trip over. So it was starting to look a little bleak. And Cage Warriors Brass was able to do their thing. The matchmaker always comes through. So he got me a willing and able body, and I'm excited about it.
Awesome. Well, thanks for that correction too. I guess I didn't see that anywhere online, but Shawn Johnson, so that should be a good one
Yes,
as
sir.
well. So in this fight versus Johnson, what do you expect to see from your opponent? I know it's a little bit of short notice change, but what do you expect to see, and how do you think this fight will play out against him?
Yeah, yeah. Short notice. I got online and started looking up film as much as I could. He's got 6 pro fights. Looks like somewhat of a stand-up background, karate, kung fu style. I like that. I like that. Could be exciting. He's gonna come out, throw some kicks, maybe some spinning stuff, get the crowd going. Um, it looks like it's gonna make for a good fireworks show. It's gonna allow me to display a little bit on my feet with the hands. I know the people like to see that, and if I need to, I'm gonna ragdoll him and take him down, ground and pound, do what we do. It's MMA, so it could go any way. But yeah, I think he's a good quality opponent. He's got fights under his belt, and for him to take a short notice fight, I know he was preparing for a fight at the end of February that I think got canceled. So he's in shape. He was ready to go, and it ended up working out that we're both going to get to tussle.
All right. So I assume that you're very excited for the stand-up war that seems to be on its way. How are you preparing for this in training camp? Any special focuses that you guys are working on?
Man, it's been an interesting training camp because I had a pretty quick turnaround. I mean, I fought on the last Cage Warriors card in London on New Year's Eve, came in on the short end of the stick on that one, but I wanted to get right back in there. About an hour after that fight, I was already telling them that I wanted to fight on this card. I felt relatively healthy, and it's only been, I don't know, 8 weeks since that fight. So I was already in shape. I went back home, and the first thing I did was I took off and ran a marathon on my own. So just to kind of get that mentality that I'm in good shape and kind of to get back in the win column in my own accord as far as that goes. But so did a little bit of strength and conditioning back home, and then I came out to California where I do a majority of my training, and it stayed relatively the same, man. Just getting good work in with my teammates. Goito Perez is fighting in Bellator the following weekend after me. And me and him have been going at it hard for the last 4 weeks. A lot of hard sparring rounds. Live grappling goes against my boy Wilson Hayes, who's also on the card. Wilson's an absolute animal in the grappling department. It's always a pleasure to roll with him and have him in the mat room. Yeah, man. And I mean, it's been a fun camp. It's been somewhat of an interesting one. I got my truck stolen last week.
No way.
So, the truck's gone. It's more than likely in Mexico, but
Oh my.
it's all good. It was an old ass Chevy Silverado. I'd say my wife is actually happy that it got stolen. So, we move on down the road and we got a fight to look forward to. So that's in the past, but it's been a fun and interesting training camp for sure.
Absolutely. Well, sorry to hear about your truck. That's pretty unfortunate. But just to circle back, you mentioned, you just fought 8 weeks ago and obviously ended up on the short end of the stick, unfortunately taking that loss to Harila. But I wanted to know what did you learn about yourself and what you need to do going forward from this fight?
Yeah, I learned a lot in that experience. I I did the travel, the time change, the weight cut overseas, and different variables that went into that. And I wanted to do that. I wanted to experience it. Obviously, I wanted to get the win, but yeah, I felt good going into that fight. I felt good backstage. I felt fine in the cage. I was a little flustered, and it led to some impatience, some mistakes on my end that happened because of that impatient and flusteredness. So I think I learned just to stay a little more in control. Don't keep score in my head during the fight. Be more present. And I took some positives away from it as well. I got slid on the forehead and started gushing blood. It didn't affect me at all mentally, physically. I put a high wrestling pace on in the first round, and my gas tank felt good to go in the second. I was ready. I was willing. Yeah, man, the hostile crowd didn't affect me. So there was a lot of positives that I gained from it, and I was able to break down some mistakes that I made. Some mistakes that I had made in past fights that showed up again in that fight. I just hadn't paid for it as much in my past fights, and I finally paid for it. So it was back to the drawing board. I got in my notebooks and took some notes down on what I needed to correct, and that's what I've been doing these past 8 weeks of this training camp. So yeah, overall learned a lot and looking forward to correcting it.
And now you mentioned the effects of the travel to London and all that. This fight, fortunately for you, going down right in your backyard in San Diego. How does it feel to be fighting right back at home?
I love San Diego. Love fighting here. These are my people. These are my fans. We're at a new venue in the Saquon Casino. It was nice to see Cage Warriors get a deal done with them. They got 4 events this year. I'm gonna try to be on as many of them as I can. This is where I want to be. This is where I want to fight. No doubt about it. Get to have all my San Diego people show up, and then my people from back home in Illinois will fly out as well. So it should be a good crowd there. And if I'm gonna get in a fist fight, it's nice to have as many people there that are wanting to watch me and willing to support me. And man, it just makes me that much more motivated to go out there and get the job done in devastating fashion. So yeah, being on this card is a big one.
Awesome. So, this fight going down in San Diego, I know you fought in San Diego a few times before. What other venues or cities would you like to fight at in the future?
Man, that's one cool thing about MMA is the travel. I've fought in a few different states. I've fought in South Dakota, Nebraska, Michigan, California, London, England. So I've fought kind of all over the place. Obviously, I'd like to make my way over to Vegas one of these days. I know Cage Warriors has talked about expanding out. Going to the Bay Area, going to Vegas, places like that. I'm down to do any of it. I love traveling. My wife loves traveling, so we always make it a little. It's a business trip on the front end and a vacation on the back end. So it's always a nice little experience. You get to meet new people, and that's why I try to remind myself while I'm doing this is to slow down and enjoy it and enjoy the little things that come with it like that. It tends to make the journey a lot more enjoyable as far as that goes. But yeah, man, I'm open to any of the arenas. Bigger arenas, the better for me. I'm looking to get in front of the most eyes as possible. So that's why I was excited they got the Saquon Casino deal done. I think it's going to be a little bit of a bigger venue, more eyes, and yeah, more eyes the better. That's all there is to it when it comes to this sport.
Absolutely, all about exposure. Well, I'm super excited for you in that sense. Um, Now, obviously, can't fight's a week away. Can't look too far past it. But I have to ask, how do you see the future of your MMA career playing out? Or
Oh
what are
man,
your goals for your near future in MMA too?
yeah, I say it every interview. I mean, I'm looking to take this thing as far as I can until the wheels fall off. I'm gonna I'm gonna keep winning and keep moving my trajectory forward, and hopefully find myself in the UFC one of these days. I mean, that's always the end goal. I know there's a lot of other good promotions out there that I'm not opposed to fighting in. But man, I've been watching the UFC since I was a little kid, and that's always been the goal since day one. You know, collect titles and put on highlight reel performances along the way. That's always the goal. But yeah, I think this year I'm just focused on getting back in the win column, and stringing together a few wins should be able to get me right where I need to be, which is on that UFC stage.
Absolutely. I love that mentality. Well, you mentioned before fighting a few more times in Cage Warriors this year, trying to get on as many cards as you can. Are there any Cage Warrior featherweights that you're eyeing up in the future that you want to meet sometime down the road?
Um, Good question, man. The Cage Warriors featherweight division is stacked, and it seems to me like they continue to stack the division with new signees. I see it seems like it pops up every day on my Instagram that they signed another featherweight, and I'm just licking my chops and chomping at the bit to get in there with them because this division is no joke. Any of those top guys, I'm down to scrap with them. They don't have a ton of signees here in the States, so it's hard for me to say as far as the U.S. fighters go, but all those European guys are looking pretty good. Obviously, at any point, I'd love to get back in there with Harila and right the wrong on that one. That's just the fighter mentality in me wanting to get one back that I lost. But yeah, any of those top level dudes, Charriere and Vucenic and all those guys, Hardwick. I mean, any of those top level guys, I want to get in there with the best and show that I'm the best as well. But yeah, as far as the U.S. dates go, it'll probably be a lot of guys from the states that I'll be fighting this year. So yeah, there's good gyms around here, especially in California. So I'll just keep knocking them off until they give me the top dudes.
Love it. Keep plugging away. So you mentioned, the stacked featherweight division in Cage Warriors. What do you think sets you apart from all other featherweights, makes you unique?
Ah, man, I'm better looking than all these guys. That's for damn sure. Man, I've always had a pretty hard work ethic. I think I talk about my cardio every interview, and I never really get to show it. I always hear the commentators when I go back and watch my fights. They're like, "Oh, we'll see if Wilson can keep this pace up," and it never goes the distance. But I'm telling you, I can keep that pace up. That's why I fight that fast, is because these other dudes can't keep the pace. So I think my cardio is one thing that sets me apart. I think I can give a punch and take a punch about as good as any 45 pounder in the world. So those intangible factors I think cater to me specifically. Everybody can train the punches and kicks. There's a lot of good athletes that come into this sport and they look good on pads. They look good cracking a heavy bag, but when you get in there and punches start flying and you start getting hit yourself, it's a whole nother ball game. And when I crack guys, their eyes change. That's for sure.
Yeah, I love that answer. You can look at the tangibles and all the skill sets as much as you want, but intangibles matter just as much in a fight, especially in a chaotic scene like MMA. Now my next question is an interesting one. I ask a lot of fighters this one. I love to hear the different perspectives. So, in general, would you rather in a fight get a quick finish or a dominant unanimous decision where you're literally dominant for the entire 3 rounds or 5 rounds, whatever it may be?
Yeah, you know me, I'm a quick finisher. I'm looking to get in and out just because it's gonna make me stay healthy, and a finish is gonna boost the trajectory of my career. But with that being said, man, I'm ready for one of those 3 round wars where I come out on top. Like I said, with my cardio, I'm looking to show that off. If these guys can hang around, I'll show off the cardio and take that 3 round decision. I got no qualms about that. But at the end of the day, if it's my choice, I'm getting out of there in 5 seconds or less. That's the way to go. One shot and be done with it.
Yeah, I thought you'd say that. Well, before I let you go now, Damon, do you have any plans for after the fight coming up on Saturday?
Let's see. we're actually going to be staying at the Sequan Casino there, and I think they've got a nice little resort there. They got a lazy river and some restaurants and bars and stuff like that. Me and my family and friends are probably gonna tune into the UFC card. What is it, 285 Jones's return or something
Mhm.
like that. So we'll probably be tuning into that. I'll be drinking some whiskey and some cheeseburgers, hopefully in celebration rather than defeat. So yeah, cheeseburgers and whiskey and watching fights. I mean, nothing really changes as far as my life goes. That's what I would be doing any other weekend if I was fighting or not. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing the family and having a good time and being able to relax at the casino a little bit.
Awesome. Well, Damon, I really want to thank you for your time today. I really appreciate you coming on the show. Before I let you go for good, you want to shout out any sponsors or any social medias that you might have? I'll give you that time right now.
Yeah, yeah, instead of shouting out my sponsors, I'll just give you my social medias. Follow me on Instagram, Team Wilson 145. I'm gonna try to post some more content, especially this week leading up to the fight. And I definitely am posting a lot more about my sponsors. I have some really good sponsors that have helped me get through these last couple fight camps. I couldn't do it without them. A lot of them are my friends and family that are own businesses, so I want to give them the big shout outs on their businesses as well as just them as human beings being able to help me out as much as possible. So yeah, hop on the Instagram, Team Wilson 145, give me a follow and give all my sponsors a follow as well.
Awesome. Well, thank you again, Damon, for your time. Really appreciate it. I wish you the best of luck in your fight coming up this Saturday. I hope you have a great last week of preparation. And for everyone watching, please tune in to Cage Warriors 149. We got Shawn Johnson as the new opponent. Thank you for letting me know that, Damon. And with that, thanks very much. Appreciate your time, and you have a great rest of your day.
Thanks, brother. Appreciate you.
Make sure to subscribe to the LowKick MMA YouTube channel for all the latest news, event previews, and interviews with some of the biggest stars in MMA.